Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Fantasy Age tutorial. And this is Combat 101. Combat 101 is going to be geared for new players to Fantasy Age, maybe new players to tabletop games in general, or maybe somebody that hasn't played in 20, 30 years and needs to get a little bit of a refresher to get you caught back up. No problem. Now in this Combat 101 tutorial, we're going to talk about action time, which is basically combat in Fantasy Age. We're going to talk about the initiative process, what happens when it's your turn in the initiative order, meaning you get to take actions. We're going to talk about the major actions. We're going to talk about the minor actions. We're also going to, talk about how you can improve your to hit. We're also going to talk about how you can improve your plus score to damage. We're going to talk about the stunt system. We're going to talk about the weapon groups. We're going to talk about talents. We're going to talk about specializations. And we're going to talk about all kinds of other things. Everything and anything that has to do with combat, we're going to cover it in Combat 101. So, after we've discussed everything, everybody starts to understand what's going on. I'm going to do a one-round combat simulation using the great Fantasy Grounds virtual tabletop, and we'll basically do a party versus some Hellions, and we'll see how it turns out. We'll do it for one round just to see how everybody, what it looks like. So let's go ahead and get started. So, action time. This is when things get tense in Fantasy Age. Basically, you're in narrative time, exploring, role-playing, whatnot. Then, when something happens, initiative is needed, then narrative time, transactions into action time. That's what they call it in Fantasy Age. Basically, combat. Combat begins. Every round is 15 seconds. I know a lot of other games, D20 games like D&D Pathfinder, a round is 6 seconds. But in Fantasy Age, there's actually a lot more time in the round, which is 15 seconds. And there's 4 rounds in each minute. I like that. So, during this 15-second time in one round, everybody gets to take a turn. And we'll talk about that in just a second. All right. So, it's now action time. The GM has asked everyone to roll for initiative. Initiative means how quick you react to your surroundings. There are some other rules that we'll talk about right now, which is the element of surprise. Now, the element of surprise in Fantasy Age works like just about any other type of tabletop game. Meaning this, you can sneak up on a bandit camp. Maybe they're sleeping, maybe it's in the middle of the night, maybe the person that was on watch has fallen asleep against a tree. This means you have surprise. All right. Now, when you do surprise, whoever is surprised does not get any actions. You get to roll your initiative, but in round 0, the surprise round, everybody that is surprised does not get any kind of turn. They just are frozen deer in headlights. All right. It's just the way it is. Then, if it's vice versa, you could be surprised on your end as well. Maybe the dwarf in your party fell asleep. Highly unlikely, but maybe he did. It could happen to you as well. So surprise can go either or. Now, when you roll for initiative, this means that you do a 3d6 test. Now, every roll in Fantasy Age, minus damage and some hazard damage, every roll is 3d6. Now, you'll take your 3d6 and you're going to add your dexterity modifier on there. That's going to be your initiative roll. Now, you can also enhance that a little bit more by taking the dexterity initiative focus. And a focus is something that you've really honed your skills in with your dexterity skill to give you a little bit more bonus. So the dexterity initiative focus gives you a +2 on top of your dex and the 3d6. Now, you can also take this focus to a +3 once you reach level 11 and you meet the requirements if the dexterity is a primary or secondary ability for your class. And then you can take that +2 and raise it to a +3, level 11 plus. Straightforward. But don't forget to take the Dex Initiative focus. Your character is going to get plenty of ability focus upgrades, and Dexterity is one that every character should probably take. Now, after all of the 3d6 rolls have been done for the NPCs, for your party, the DM or the GM is now going to take all of those rolls and compare the results, and is going to put them in order from highest, meaning they get to go first, all the way down to lowest. Now, sometimes a tie can happen, and if a tie happens in Fantasy Age, then you refer to the stunt die, which is the off-color die. In Fantasy Age, you're going to roll 2 color die the same, 1 color die that's going to be the off-color. So 2 colors, 2 dice, same color, 1 dice, different color. That's your stunt die. Highest number on the stunt die on a tie wins. Now, if that's still a tie, go to the dex score. Whoever has the highest dexterity score wins. And then after that, if you're still tied, I would just say screw it and re-roll it and start the process over again. That's all I can say on that. All right, so now everybody starts to take their turns. Everybody gets 1 turn in the entire round. Now remember, this whole round, even though it's going to take a lot longer than 15 seconds, remember, this 15-second round means that everything is going on between every player in the initiative order within a 15-second period. So, as you imagine this on the field, things are hectic on a battlefield, and it's 15 seconds. Once everybody has a turn, it goes back up to the top of the order again. You keep the same initiative number in Fantasy Age, and the process rinse and repeats itself until all of either the party is dead or the bad guys are dead, or the NPCs. Now, there could be surrenders as well. You could surrender, or the NPCs could surrender, depending on their morale. That's basically the entire initiative process. Don't forget, take the Dexterity Initiative focus. Well worth the +2 and +3 bonus at level 11 plus. Alright, so now we're going to go on to what happens when it's your turn in the initiative order. This is where you get to take actions on your turn. So the GM tells you, it's your turn, what do you want to do? Now, in action time, in Fantasy Age, on your turn, you can take 1 major action and a minor action. Maybe sometimes you don't want to make a major action, and sometimes you can forego that and take another minor action. So you have 2 choices. You could take a major and a minor action, or 2 minor actions. You cannot take 2 major actions. Cannot do that. Cannot substitute your minor for a major, but you can substitute your major for a minor. Not trying to confuse you there, but you get it. Remember, your turn is everything you're doing within this 15 seconds of the combat round. Okay, so let's talk about the major actions first. Now, there's quite a few major actions that you can do, and I like the variety that they give you in Fantasy Age. It's just not like your robot style, I attack. No, you can do a lot of different things with your major actions. The first thing you can do is an all-out attack. Now, this is where you attack 1 adjacent enemy. Adjacent means an enemy that's right beside you, within reach. And you attack the 1 adjacent enemy in hand-to-hand combat, throwing the full weight of your strength behind the attack, even though your ability to react to counteract will suffer a little bit. So basically, if you all-out attack, you are successful and your attack hits, you're going to get +1 to damage. But you've kind of let your guard down a little bit, and you're going to suffer a -1 to your defense until your next turn. So for the whole turn after you're done, the entire round after you're done until it's your turn again, you're going to suffer -1 to your defense. You can also do charge as a major action. Charge is where you can move up to half your speed rounded down in yards, because all movements in Fantasy Age is done in yards. And this is where you movement rounded down, your speed rounded down, and you get to make a melee attack as you move in to a creature that you're adjacent to. When you charge, you get a +1 bonus to your attack roll. Pretty nice. I like that. Defend. If you don't feel like attacking, maybe you have several enemies around you. Sure, you could attack one, but maybe you might want to forego that attack, let your supporting cast behind you help you, and you could just sit back, go into the defend major action, and this is where you're going to concentrate on defending yourself for the entire round. Now, you're going to get a +2 bonus to your defense until the beginning of your next turn. So anyone that attacks you in this whole amount of time to the beginning of your next turn, you are going to have a +2 bonus to your defense. That's a pretty big bonus. So defend, I would definitely think about taking that. It's definitely situational, and I would definitely consider taking that from time to time, especially when things are at the beginning of combat. There's a lot of full hit point creatures running around. You might want to think about defend. Now, you can also take the heal major action, and the heal major action is a really solid major action. And this is where you can provide some quick first aid to an injured ally. Now, you got to be adjacent, meaning standing right beside the ally that you want to heal, and you have to have bandages ready. So you're going to have to take a minor action to basically, you're going to have to take the minor action, which is called ready. Now, when you take the ready minor action, which is here, this is where you can pull something out like a potion, bandages, and whatnot. So to heal, you're going to have to use your minor to pull bandages out, because you have to have the bandages ready. It says that in the heal mechanic itself. So you're going to have to do a 3d6 roll to make sure that you're successful on your heal check. All right, the target number is going to be just a flat out 11. That's for everyone, no matter who you are. NPCs and monsters are going to have a target number 11. That's just how it is. It's a really easy number to hit. Now, you're going to roll a 3d6 plus your intelligence. And like the initiative, you can buy a focus called initiative. You can buy the healing focus as well, and it's under your initiative focuses. So you could actually roll 3d6 plus your intelligence plus the +2 bonus for the healing focus. And at level 11, you can even upgrade that again with another upgrade to a +3. So if you're successful on your healing test, then the person that you're healing, or the ally, is going to get an amount of health back equal to the stunt die. Remember, the stunt die we talked about is the off-colored die, and your intelligence. So if you have a 6 on the stunt die, you'll get back 6 plus your intelligence bonus. Now, you can't just keep doing this over and over and over and over and over until they're full health again. Now, you can only do this once, and then you cannot do it again until the person that you just healed takes additional damage. All right? And I like that mechanic. Now, with heal, there's a couple things you need to also worry about. If you fail, that basically means that it's just basically out of your skill range, and you can try again next round. Your major action will be consumed. You'll lose that, but you can try again next round. Now, also, there's a talent called the Chirurgy talent. It will really improve the heal major action. Just by taking this talent, every class in the game, there's 3 core classes, every class is going to get a multitude of talents to take from levels 1 to 20. If you take Chirurgery, when you first take it and become a novice in Chirurgery, you're going to be able, instead of spending a major action for that heal, it's only going to cost you a minor action. Really cool, right? Then if you upgrade that talent again to Journeyman, then instead of doing the stunt die plus your intelligence, it's going to be the stunt die times 2 and your intelligence. And then when you take it again as master, then you're really going to be, a really good healer, and you're going to be able to do stunt die times 3 plus intelligence. So heal, you can do a lot with it, especially if you take the focus for intelligence to get your bonus to be successful, and if you take the Chirurgy talent, then you'll be able to actually upgrade the heal itself, downgrade from a major to a minor action, which is a positive, and heal will be really good. So next, major action is a melee attack. That's just going toe-to-toe, just a swing, bam. Target has to be adjacent to you for the melee attack. That's pretty straightforward. Ranged attack, that's another major action. And this is where you fire or throw a weapon, a missile weapon, at one visible enemy within range. There are some negative modifiers between short and long range, but we're not worried about that in this tutorial. You can also take the run major action. Now the run major action is where you can move double your speed. So if you have a 10 speed, you can actually move 20 yards. So instead of 10 yards, 20 yards. That's your major action. Then you still get to take your minor. So you cannot take this. Now remember, if you're prone, or knocked down meaning prone, you can't take the run action, because when you stand up, it's going to take your move action half of your movement to stand up and your minor. So you need to really be careful. If you're standing up, if you're good to go, then run, you can move double your speed. Really good. Now, to go along with the melee attack and ranged attack, there are a couple variable actions that we need to talk about really quickly. And the first one is casting spells. And what I mean by casting spells is every spell has a cast time, no matter if it's one major action, one minor action, or there are even spells that take a minute to cast, up to 1 hour to cast. Obviously, you're not going to be able to cast the minute spell or the hour spell in combat, but you can cast a spell, whether it be a major action or a minor action. Just look at the spell description and you'll be fine. Reload times. Now, reload times are for your missile weapons. Reload times can be a major action, like for a crossbow, or it can be a minor action, like for a bow. All right. Now, you can even upgrade these with talents, like the Chirurgy talent, upgraded heal. You can get the bow talent, and you can upgrade and basically have a free action to reload. You can do stunts. You can do the rapid reload stunt. That will actually downgrade the load time from a full action down to a minor action. Or you can use the rapid reload to downgrade it from a minor action to a free action. So there's many ways to adjust these variable actions. Remember, spells, minor action, major action, anything over that, you're really not going to be able to cast in combat. And in the reload time, talents can adjust those, and stunts can adjust those. So now we've talked about all of the major actions. Let's go to the minor actions. Because remember, on your turn, you can do one major action, one minor action, or you can take 2 minor actions. So what are these minor actions you speak of, Dave? Well, the first one is activate. This is where the minor action allows you to start using certain powers or items such as fighting styles and potions. So if you pull out that potion with your first minor, you can use your second minor to activate it or drink it. Or maybe there's a fighting style from a specialization or a talent that is going to require the activate action to use. Piece of cake, straightforward. You can do aim as a minor action. This is where you take the measure of your opponent and plan your next strike. If you, on your next action, is going to be a melee or ranged attack, when you take the minor action aim first, your melee or ranged attack will have a +1 bonus on the attack roll. So if you're standing there growing roots like Tom Brady or Drew Bledsoe and growing roots, and you're wanting to do some extra damage, you can take your minor action of aim your shot with your melee weapon, or aim your shot with your bow, and get a +1 to hit. Straightforward. Minor action, this is a good one. You can actually take what is called guard up. Now, guard up is sort of like defend, but it doesn't work as good as defend, and that's why it costs a minor action. So when you put your guard up, this is where you put your skill to use balancing action and defense. So you're going to get to add a +1 or a +2, whatever you want to choose, it's your choice, to your defense until the end of the round. Only until the end of the round. Now remember that, only until the end of the round. However, whatever you choose, +1 or +2, you're going to suffer that amount you choose as a penalty to all tests you make, even opposed tests. Like even if you have a spell cast on you, then you're going to have a -1 or a -2 on your test roll against that mage's spell power. So you need to be wary of that, all right? So that's going to last for the remainder of the round. Now remember, the key difference between guard up and defend is defend lasts until the beginning of your next turn. Guard up, minor action, only until the end of the round, and then you lose that bonus. So if you choose this minor action, you have to do guard up before any major action you take this turn. All right, you must do it before anything else. And you cannot follow up guard up with defense. So don't think you're going to try to double dip it and get double the defensive bonus, because it states here you just can't do that, and thank goodness they put that in there. Now, you can take the regular move action. Now, when you take the regular move action, this is where you can move up to your speed in yards. Like I said, if you have a 10 movement for speed, then you get to move 10 yards or 5 squares if you're playing on a battle grid or a virtual tabletop. Now, remember, you can also go prone. If you're knocked down in prone position, you can stand up. You can mount or dismount a horse or a vehicle. And if you do that, remember, I said earlier, it's going to take half your movement. So if you stand up and if you have that 10 movement, you only got 5 movement left. Or if you dismount from that horse or dismount from that vehicle, then you only got 5 movement left. Straightforward. It's really easy. But remember, run, the major action, allows you to do double movement. That's if you don't have to dismount from anything or stand up from being prone. So you can prepare as a minor action also. And this is where you pick one major action that you prepare. You can prepare an attack. You can prepare a ranged attack. You know, as long as you have something that's going to define it, as in, I'm waiting for something to come through that door, and then my major action is ranged attack. That's what prepare means. So, anytime until your next turn, you will be prepared, and you can interrupt any other player in the initiative order and take your prepared action immediately. Really cool. Now, if you don't use it by your next turn, then you lose your prepared action, and when it comes to your turn again, all you have to do is say, hey, I want to prepare the same action again. So that's all it takes. Now, you cannot take the prepared action if you've already taken a major action. So if you've already done your attack, you can't prepare and hold another attack. You know, you just, because then that means that you would get 2 major actions and a minor. So remember, if you're preparing, you have to have your major action. You know, you just can't use it yet. So we also have a few more. The next one is called Press the Attack. And this is where you stand ready to pursue an enemy if they should fall back or flee. This is actually a really cool minor action. I really like this. Now, you have to declare an adjacent enemy that you're in combat with when you take this minor action. Now, when you declare, you know, until the beginning of your next turn, if the enemy that is adjacent to you moves away from you, then that means that you can immediately move up to your speed and follow that creature in hot pursuit and direct pursuit of that creature. It's not going to cost any additional actions or nothing. because you've declared you're pressing the attack on this. And it occurs immediately after the foe's movement. So when the creature moves, you immediately move up to your speed. Pretty nice. All right. Now, sometimes maybe the foe's faster than you. That's okay. You can move up to your max movement. Maybe you don't want to even move all of that movement. You can only move a portion of it if you want to. So, but the one thing is to be able to press the attack, you have got to have already attacked and successfully struck that creature in melee combat. So you've already had, you have to hit it before you can actually press the attack. And you can, once that creature moves, if it declares it's moving somewhere else, you can press the attack and follow up to your movement. It's really nice. Ready. The ready minor action. We've already discussed this a little bit, and this is where you can unsheath a weapon, pull out a potion, or otherwise ready an item that is stowed. So as part of this action, you can put away something already in hand. So if you have your dagger out and you want to pull out your bow, then you just, as part of the ready action, put your dagger away and pull out your bow. There you go. You unsheath your weapon, draw your weapon, whatever you want. And, and it also states you could also put your bow away and draw a sword. And that's basically the reverse of what I just told you. So the last minor action is going to be stand firm. And this stand firm is where you lower your weight and prepare to resist any and all efforts to move you from one place to another from where you stand. So until the beginning of your next turn, any enemy that uses the 2-point the 1 to 3 point skirmish stunt against you, or the 2-point knock prone stunt, to try to move you or knock you down to the ground, is going to now, instead of being automatic, seeing that you're standing firm, there's going to have to be basically an opposed test to see if they can move you or knock you down. So the person that is attacking you is going to have to use their strength might versus your choice of strength might or dexterity acrobatics. And it's nice because you get to choose whatever's higher. Really nice. And remember, if another creature is using stand firm, then that means that you have to use your strength, and then they, in return, can use their strength or their dex, whatever's higher. Pretty nice. Now, if you attempt this can only be attempted after your opponent spends the relative stunt points, and if it's successful or not, the points are used, cannot use them again. Now, also, if the opponent attempts to skirmish you for, you more than once as part of the single attack to move you 2 squares instead of 1 square, or 4 yards instead of 2 yards, then it only makes the single opposed roll. So it's not going to try to do one roll for the first point and then another roll for the second. And no, it doesn't work like that. It's just one opposed roll for no matter how many skirmish points are spent, because skirmish is the only stunt that can be purchased more than one time in a round, up to 3 times. That's stand firm. Really cool. So now that it's your turn in the initiative order, and now you have what major action you want to do, what minor action you want to do, or hell, maybe you might even want to do just 2 minor actions. Now it's time to make your attack, if you want to make the attack. So, there's a lot of things going on when you make your attack. You start, number 1, you start by picking a target. Now, if it's a melee, it's going to be adjacent to you, because in Fantasy Age, there's no long-reached weapons. Polearm, spears, all that stuff is still just adjacent targets, and I'm so happy for that. Now, adjacent means, like I said, 2 yards, which is the next square over from you. Or if you don't want to make the melee attack, you can make the missile attack. And you must be able to see the target and be within range. Different missile weapons have different ranges, from grenades to bows to crossbows. If you're within the short range, there's no penalty. If you are shooting at a long range, you're going to take a -2 penalty on your roll. Now,